SOSG, standing on solid ground. Hello, this is Kim Jones with Standing on Solid Ground. I am your host of this inspirational and motivational podcast. And today I wanted to just begin by saying thank you for all the listeners that have joined this podcast or listening or visited. Thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate this because this motivates and inspires me. Today I wanted to talk about contentment and how I am satisfied and happy in the state that I'm in. Now, don't get me wrong. I have a lot of things that I would like to take care of. I have a lot of things that I would like to do. For instance, I moved into the home that I was raised in after my father had passed away, and it needs a lot of love. It needs a whole lot of love. But as I have been working on this podcast and been working through these episodes and the different layers that I have spoke in prior episodes, I realize that I am at a state of mind where I am happy and I am content. And contentment is not an easy task to embrace. I'm happy because I am doing something that God asked me to do, and I am doing His will according to how He has written it in heaven. Now, as I look back on many prophets and different missionaries and apostles throughout the Bible, I read about how, like, say, for instance, Elijah and the widow woman. Well, Elijah asked her to give him a cup of water, something to drink. Then he asked her to give her something to eat. And I think about how we would react if we are down to our last meal and we don't have enough to feed another mouth. And what our response would be. Would it be like that widow woman when she said, "We have just enough for my son and I to eat and to die, and we don't have enough for you"? In other words, you're requesting me to fix you something to eat, and this is all we have. But God had a blessing for her. He wanted her to bless Elijah, his prophet, and in return, she was going to be blessed. And when I think about that, it takes me back to Jesus when he said, "Take upon you my yoke, for my yoke is easy and my burdens are light." In other words, I'm going to take the burdens from you, the heavy load, the hard work, the hard labor that you're going through, and I'm going to exchange it for something simple, meaning that I'm not going to just not give you something to do. You're going to have a job to do, but it's light and it's easy. Now, her job was to, one, give him something to drink and something to eat. That's simple, but it's not simple to those that are starving, that are looking at their empty cupboards, and at that time it was barrels, where she's looking at one last meal. Now, in Elijah's eyes, it was a simple request, but in her eyes, it was something that was a sacrifice. And with that sacrifice, she was blessed. And I think about it is better to obey than to sacrifice. Had she not gave him something to drink and fixed him something to eat, could you imagine what her life would have been like? And all he asked was that simple thing. God, through Jesus Christ, asked us that very same thing. For my yoke is easy and my burdens are light. So what has God asked you to do that was simple and we made a big deal out of? I asked God to help me pay my bills, to help me with my son's schooling, and to pay his bills as far as his tuition was concerned. He made a way, but he made me realize that I had to do something first, was begin this podcast. Now, I didn't know anything about a podcast. I didn't know how to run one. I didn't know how to start one. I had to do research and everything. And I'm still learning. This is a learning process. But God, through Jesus Christ, also said and learned of me. And learning of him made me realize that when I began this journey, I was learning that through my obedience to what he requested of me, he blessed me. And when he blessed me abundantly. And because of those blessings, I am now content. Again, there are things that I would like to do. There are things that I want to take care of. But because God has shown me, I got you. I have your back. I'm here for you. You take my yoke upon you and you learn everything that you can learn about me. For my yoke is easy and my burdens are light. Then I will bless you because of your obedience. It's simple, but we make it complicated. We make things difficult because we don't want to do that simple thing that God has requested of us. It could be as simple as forgiving someone. It could be as simple as apologizing to someone. It could be just you giving someone something to eat, or a cup of water to drink, or clothes to put on their back. Simple. But we make it difficult because those simple things are complicated in our mindset because we're looking at it begrudgingly. We don't want to do it. I remember that person when they didn't speak to me, or I remember that person lied about me, or they betrayed me, or whatever the case may be. You remember what they did, but God is asking you to do something for them now so you can be blessed. It's not about what they did. It's about your obedience to God, making peace with what they did, and doing what you were told to do. Now, to reach this point of contentment, I had to understand that God is in control of everything, every aspect of my life. From the time I wake up in the morning to the time I lay down at night, he's in control. And I am truly blessed because there is no one like him. He is everything that I need. And with that, just knowing that, I'm content. I'm content. It's chaos all around me. Yes, there are still bills that need to be paid, but they're caught up. They're current. I want to pay some off, but I'm not at that junction in my life just yet. God is still showing me that if you do what I say do, I'll do what I promised you that I would do. If we do what God wants us to do, he'll supply our needs according to his will, according to his way and his purpose. So, in closing of this episode, contentment. Where is your contentment? Are you happy? Are you satisfied in the range of your life or the status that you are in your life. I'm talking about internally. I'm not talking about just financially or emotionally. I'm talking about spiritually. Are you content? And if you're not, then it might be a time to ask God, where can I get to that point in my life where I am content? That no matter what goes on around me, I'm okay. It is a difficult journey, but it is obtainable. All you have to do is believe, trust, obey, and do what God asks you to do. This is Kim Jones with Standing on Solid Ground. Thank you for joining me, and I hope that you have a wonderful and blessed day.